Well, not many of my videos start in a shopping centre, but there appears to be something lurking just outside this blue-tinted glass. And here it is, our first view of Lisbon Oriente station. And look at that, undeniably the work of Santiago Calatrava with his trademark sweeping curves. And if you're anything like me, it's really exciting to walk towards structures like these. It's a building, yes, but it's really open, so you feel the flow from one public space to another. So let's start by following the flow downward to the metro platforms, through this subterranean plaza that still manages to be flooded with natural light. It's a different story now we're at the metro level. You really do now feel that you are underground. And yet there's still space here to manage large passenger numbers, and there's even room for some art. And returning up to what I would call level -1, we see the tunnel that leads not underneath the railway platforms, but underneath the coach platforms, with stairs leading up to each of them. And the concrete shapes so much used in Calatrava's other work at Liège are also in evidence here. And coming up to the coach station, we also get another view down on the plaza below. And so let's walk across and up one more level. I suppose level 1. I must say there's a little bit of rust here and there, but you've got to remember that this structure has now been in use for 26 years. And up at level 1, the place feels so much like Liège. These long concrete arches are here, and they will be lightened and extended for the design at Liège. On level 1 there's ticket offices and rail ticket machines, and I suspect one issue for visitors that don't really know their way around stations is that navigation, well, it could be a bit tricky. But the only navigation we need right now is to just keep going up. And here we are on level 2 for the big reveal of the station platforms. And above us, well, something I would describe as a forest of white metal trees. It really is captivating to be stood under these things. And here we are at Lisbon Oriente station. And, well, after going to Belgium in December, and now I'm in Portugal in January, and so you get two Santiago Calatravas. No surprise that this is the same guy that did Liège-Guillemins. A little bit of rust running down these what I'd call trees. I mean, it looks organic. It looks like trees made of steel. And so why am I here? Well, I'm working my way south through Portugal, and today's journey will be from here, Oriente, down to Faro, and I'm going to be going Intercidades. Intercity. And so yes, I'm on the 1402, I think, out of here to Faro, and we'll be working our way south down to the Algarve. So yeah, come along and we'll see how it goes. It was a lovely day to contemplate the station and wait for the Intercity to Évora to depart. But this train pulling in is actually the stop for Faro, arriving fully 30 minutes before departure. Oh, and for some reason, I stopped recording until I'd got on the train, so my apologies for that. But anyway, as the Évora train has left, let's talk about our route for today. The train will skirt around the northern edge of Lisbon with a couple more local stops before crossing the Tagus to stop at Pragal. Then there's a little run eastwards to Peñal Novo before the train finally gets going southbound through Grândola and Amidas Sado. From here we follow the River Sado until we have to cut through the hills to call at Funchal and Santa Clara Saboia. Once down from the hills we'll join the Lagos line at Tunis, and after two more stops we'll arrive into Faro. The 302 kilometres or 199 miles is scheduled to take 3 hours and 33 minutes. Well, I'm already in my seat and it's very comfortable. And along with it comes a decent sized tray table with a drinks holder. And down the side is a power supply. The window comes with a curtain and the overhead luggage racks are very spacious. And we roll out of Oriente maybe just a couple of minutes late. The main line for Santa Apollonia carries on to the left, but we branch right so that we can track around the northern suburbs of Lisbon. Campolide is home to a CP depot and is also the junction where trains can enter the tunnel for Lisbon Rocio station. But we will keep right to pass under the mighty Aguas Livres aqueduct. And soon we're on the viaduct for the approach to the 25th of April bridge. And in order to cross the Tagus, the railway is slung underneath the road on this vast bridge which was inaugurated in 1966. Although the railway deck was not added until 1999. It really is an amazing view from up here. And just at the end we get a little look at Lisbon's Christ, which owes quite a lot to that similar statue in Rio de Janeiro. Bragal station is immediately south of the bridge and provides access to the tram network of these southern suburbs. And judging by all the cars in the car park, it acts as a park and ride. At Pinhal Novo, it's nice to see the original station building is still retained next to its larger modern brother. And it's also here that it feels like Lisbon is now losing its grip on us, and we can escape out into the Portuguese countryside. And we do escape at speed as finally our intercity train can get moving through this flat landscape. Well, I had lunch in the shopping centre at Oriente, but I think it's now time for a beer. And part of our coach is actually the cafe bar. The bar is not modern, but I do love its retro style, and it is a pleasant enough place to have a drink and enjoy a break from being at your seat. And soon our fairly high-speed line is heading out across the Sado estuary on the new railway bridge, which speeds up the route no end. And finally the original line joins us and we press on to Grândola.
Station of Grândola. When getting off the train, please mind the steps and the gap between the door and the platform.
Well, there are a few delays on the line due to some infrastructure work, but I'm always happy to see some investment going on in the railways. And slowly the land is becoming slightly more undulating as we move away from the coastal plains, but it's hardly hilly just yet. However, Ermidas Sado marks a kind of watershed. From here, the line to Sines turns west towards the coast, but our main line will now track the Sado River Valley as we do begin to climb into the hills. With all this interesting countryside to view, I'm a little saddened that most of the tourists on the train have drawn the blinds, focusing on their phones, tablets and books. For some time now our line has been single track, and so a northbound train has had to wait for us at Funchal before it can proceed on its way to Lisbon. And it's here too that we leave the River Sado behind as we have to strike out looking for a pass through the hills. And as we climb, the vegetation changes and things definitely get a fair bit more hilly. Whilst this may not be spectacular countryside, these hills and valleys are really delightful as they pass by our windows. That is, of course, if you're bothering to look. At Lusianes we slip under National Route 123. And of course this lovely countryside and the twists and turns of the line comes at a price, And our train, well, it has to just amble its way along. Well, there's not a whole lot to see at Santa Clara Saboya station, as the station serves the two settlements and lies between them both. And I think we're on the last climb now as we look for the pass between the hills that enables us to get down to the coast of the Algarve. As we pass under the road, I reckon we're pretty much at the high point on the line as we pass near Monte Ramos. And now we can track the IC1 road down to Messines, whilst of course my fellow passengers are oblivious to the changing landscape. So as we work our way down to the coast, let's talk about tickets. A first class ticket on this train will cost you €30.85 and in second class it will be €23.55. Now there's two services a day using Alfa Pendulars tilting trains, and that tilt and the fact that there are less intermediate stop will cut the journey time by fully 30 minutes. However, in return for that speed, Alfa Pendulars ticket prices are just a little bit higher. As we approach Tunis, our very informative train manager reminds passengers that this is where you should change for the Algarve coastline that goes west from here to Lagos. Albufeira is a major tourist resort, so quite a lot of people alight here.
Next stop, Lole. When getting off the train, please mind the steps and the gap between the door and the platform. Thank you.
Lole is a lovely old station, and although there's a few buildings around the station, it's actually over 6 kilometres from the centre of the town itself. My final thoughts are that the route is really beautiful. The train is smooth, the seats are comfortable, and there's onboard reasonably priced catering. So, priced at €30, even before you take into account any discount you might be able to get locally, this is, I reckon, pretty good value. And soon we're speeding into the outer suburbs of Faro, and this journey begins to draw to a close.
Please don't forget to...
And as we pull into Faro just about on time, I spy what looks like some kind of car loading ramp. Do let me know if it's still used and by what. As everybody gets off, waiting across the platform is a connecting train. This will take passengers to the east along the coastal route which goes all the way to the Spanish border. And finally we get to look at our locomotive for today. It's a Class 5600. They are a predecessor of Siemens Eurosprinter locomotives, with some construction by the Sorifame Group in Portugal. The locomotive has already been detached as they ready the coaching stop for the return working to Lisbon, which departs in 45 minutes at 18:15. And as the sun begins to set, here we are at Faro on the Algarve, and yeah, very, very pleasant ride. A couple of drinks, very reasonably priced in the cafe bar, and all in all, just an excellent ride. It barreled along at high speed when it could, and curved through the bends very slowly when it had to. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little run from Lisbon Oriente to Faro. I certainly did, and yeah, if you did, then do subscribe and like and give us a comment. Have you been on this train or something similar? What do you think of the railways here in Portugal? Anyway, yeah, I'm going to walk for about 45 minutes back in that direction now to get to my hotel, and then I'm going to be flying out of Faro to go home for American football practice. So yeah, I've had a lovely week here in Portugal. I hope you've enjoyed the videos, and yeah, looking forward to seeing you somewhere else soon. So thank you very much, and from Faro, goodbye, and thank you very much for watching. And if you'd like to see what I got up to that morning, then just click here to see me ride out to Cascais and then have a walk back along the coast of Estoril.